had made the departure from Rafah and were heading to the checkpoint when we were asked to wait in a designated holding area where UN vehicles wait before being called to the checkpoint. While we were waiting there, gunfire broke out in the vicinity, and shots were fired from the direction of the crossing towards civilians who then ran in the other direction away from the crossing. We were caught in that line of fire. 3 bullets hit the car that I was in. A UN colleague dropped to the ground outside and lay on the floor. We thought he was injured, but thankfully he was okay, and so was everybody else with us. But this incident is just another example of how dangerous it is for us and for the people that we're trying to serve in Gaza.
Yeah, thankfully you're okay, so that's great to see. But you're saying this was crossfire, you weren't targeted?
Look, I don't think that we were targeted. It seemed like the shooting was coming from the checkpoint towards civilians. But either way, this is meant to be a safe place. This is why the holding area exists, so that we aren't caught up in these sorts of incidents. And it was a coordinated mission. So we were meant to be safe on this mission. We had received assurances that we would be, and we were in a place where we were authorised to stay.
Have you any idea of the threat that the IDF felt in order to respond like this?
I don't, but I can tell you that I saw a small group of civilians running away from the checkpoint when the fighting broke out. They didn't appear to be armed.
So they were being targeted, you feel?
I feel like the shooting was directed at them, yes.
And what did the IDF say when you approached them about this?
We're yet to receive a response.
What about the people on the ground?
The people on the ground fled. There were some other people that came and approached us after the incident, but they were mostly children, Max.
I mean, we've obviously had, this recent, attack on a convoy, which Israel have accepted. They say it was a big mistake. That's the context you're working in right now, isn't it? So what went through your mind as you saw this gunfire?
To be honest, it was shocking that this was happening to us on a coordinated mission in a designated holding area. We had colleagues outside the vehicle who very easily could have been injured or killed, so we were incredibly lucky. And as you say, this comes in the context of just 8 days before colleagues at World Central Kitchen tragically being killed while trying to do their jobs. So I think this underscores that it really remains unsafe for humanitarian workers. And also it prevents us from doing our jobs, because that mission didn't go ahead. We weren't able to deliver the nutrition supplies to Kamal Adwan Hospital, where we know that children are dying.
We're hearing from the Israelis they're going to ramp up significantly aid going into Gaza. How does your experience speak to that, do you think?
We haven't seen it yet. I hope that it's true. I hope that we can really flood the Gaza Strip with aid in the coming days and weeks, but the news of areas crossing opening in the north of Gaza is yet to eventuate, and that's so important. We really need to push for that, because if we can get directly into the north of Gaza, it would prevent us from having incidents like this, unsafe moments at checkpoints or restrictions on our access to the north, and it would also allow us to get aid in quickly to those children who are dying from malnutrition.
You'll be aware that the Israeli agency that actually handles the inspection delivery of aid into Gaza is blaming the UN for failing to distribute it. It's not an issue of aid getting in, it's the fact that you're not getting it out to the people that need it.
That's just wrong. There is still not enough aid coming into the Gaza Strip. We've seen a very marginal increase in the last few days, but nothing significant. We're still well below the number of trucks that we used to get in before the war. And look, I'm not going to lie, distribution is difficult. We're doing our absolute best, but we are operating in these conditions, which are arguably some of the worst in the world. And those conditions can also be remedied. These two things go hand in hand. We need to get more aid in still. And then we need to make sure that the operating conditions on the ground are conducive to distribution, so that we aren't put in harm's way and that we're able to operate efficiently. And same with the people that we're here to serve.
The Israelis currently saying hundreds of trucks are waiting to be picked up by UN agencies. Is that true?
So it's semantics, Max. It depends on where you count them coming in. My understanding is that COGAT counts trucks when they enter screening, we don't count them as delivered until they cross to our warehouses at the Rafah crossing. So we haven't received all of those trucks yet. And sometimes it's very difficult for us, even if they are cleared from the screening process, to go and get them because we don't have access to that sterile area, if you like, where the boxes wait for us 24/7.
What's it like working for an agency which is independent, isn't it, politically neutral, but there's a lot of tension between Israel and the UN, and one of the concerns going forward is you've got to work together if aid is going to be distributed properly, but is that difficult because of the political background here?
Look, it's been difficult since the beginning of this war. We have been trying to advocate using all of the channels possible to resolve these issues. We want to make it work. We're not here for the tension. We're here for the kids. So we really need to resolve this in order to be able to do our jobs.
Just one question on your ability to distribute aid. Obviously, there must be a lot of people in your organisation and the people you work with who are just living in fear of distributing aid in Gaza right now because what happened to you, what happened to the kitchen as well. Are you struggling to get people, enough staff to just get into Gaza and help with this?
Interestingly, no. I think that this is what the UN does. We work on the front lines of dangerous locations all around the world, from Haiti to Sudan to Afghanistan. So we have a brave and selfless team willing to continue to come in and do this work. We just have to be allowed to do our jobs.
Okay, Tess Ingram, thank you for coming on and discussing what seems like a very lucky escape. Glad you're all okay. CNN has reached out, as I say, to the Israeli military for comment on the incident. We're waiting to hear back.